I
It's
love that.
gonna be a great 3 movies. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Nick.
And I'm Brian, and in the wake of TMNT Mutant Mayhem, the new animated film coming out this August, we thought we'd jump on here and break down how we would create a Ninja Turtle film for today's modern audience.
With that being said, I do want to have you start with what are your 5 wants?
Okay, number 1, the Shredder is the main villain,
Okay.
and he will look. Now, this is a toss-up because I love the 2003 Shredder, but in order to make the film I want, I believe he's going to look like the IDW version. And he's going to be a Rokusaki, and he's going to be human, and he's going to have, the half cape. He's going to have the helmet, the classic look of the IDW comics. My second need is the Turtles have to be mature.
Okay.
They are teenagers, but they have been through a lot, and I would say they are around 17 to 19 rather than 12 and 13. So they have been around the world. They're not young. They've fought things before. Kind of like the 2007 movie. I don't know if you've seen that animated film.
I have
basically
once, yes.
Following the other 3 live action films, but they're mature turtles. They've gone through a lot. They're in their prime. Like they're in their most adult teen form they can be. That's what I want to see, and that's the turtles I want as number 2.
Perfect. Number 3.
April and Casey are both going to be in the movie.
Yay.
They're going to be major sidekicks to the Turtles. Splinter is going to be Hamada Yoshi. Okay. He is not going to be a rat mutated. He's going to be Hamada Yoshi mutated into a rat. That way there's a nice relationship between him and Orokusaki. They're both humans, kind of like the 2012 version of the animated show.
Beautiful.
And the 5th one, obviously the Shredder's the villain, but the main overarching villains are the Foot Clan. Karai is going to be in the film, and there's going to be hidden details about other mutants. There's not going to be a lot of mutants in the movie because I feel like if we're going to do this and do the Shredder right, it's got to be more than one film. So we're going to lead. There's going to be teases here and there for the future of the Turtles. But yeah, the Foot is going to be the major thing with Karai, Shredder, Hun, Purple Dragons. There's going to be, I want it to be grounded New York base, not a lot of extraterrestrial Krang, Utrom stuff right off the bat. My series is going to be a trilogy.
All right.
And I think in order to do that correctly, you can't have the Shredder one and done. And in order to do it right, like the 2 live action films, you had him be the main villain of number 1, but clearly they wanted him back for number 2, but he was more of like the goofy Shredder from the 80s cartoon. So he wasn't really a villain, I would say. But this Shredder's going to be the main villain of the first 2, but I'm not going to spoil what the 3rd one's going to be about.
Gotcha.
I would ask you the same question. If you were to make a film, what are your top 5 wants to make your film? And then we'll combine our thoughts together.
Number 1, the Turtles. Just kidding. I want the Turtles.
What? You want the Turtles?
Yeah. Right? I know. Surprising. I want the Turtles, actually, very much like you, I want them to be a little bit more adult. I feel like when they're young teenagers, there's way more room for that goofiness to kind of show through, but that might detract kind of from the seriousness that we get from the IDW stories, or even the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, like in the 90s.
Right.
There was definitely serious undertones about it, and that's what I think I really liked about it, or even the 2003 show. Very much more mature themes, and you can kind of relate that more to older teenagers. Number 2, I want the themes to be written by adults for everybody. I don't want this movie to be strictly for kids, but the tone needs to kind of let everybody come in and see it. Number 3, definitely want Shredder. I want there to be some fighting.
Well, that's a given.
That is a given. But
with my movies, it's a given. It's going to happen.
Right. I want the fighting to be really tight. I want it to be developed. I want it to be thought out. I don't want slapped together, shaky camera, I can't see what's going on. I want martial artists to choreograph these movies.
Right, like the John Wick films, right? The new John Wick film. Like everything is wide cam, everything is strictly choreographed, but it's like precise and to a T, and you can see absolutely everything.
You got it. Exactly. If we have one long cut fight scene in each movie, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Almost like Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi had great action scenes. Like they were all wide cam. There was some up close stuff, but you can tell there were longer cuts, right?
Right.
But that also plays into what kind of movie we want to make.
Exactly. Number 5, I want human characters too. Like you said, you want Casey and you want April. I am totally down with that. I don't need too many more. We've seen already the challenges of writing a story with too many main human characters and more fantastical creatures like the
Right.
Godzilla monsterverse. So I don't want that bogged down too much with too many main human characters. Ideally, I don't even need an A-list star to play in these movies. And that's it. So very different needs and wants,
Yeah.
but I think
we're kind of on the same page, but you definitely have differences than I do.
my needs for these kinds of movies are like more of a need rather than, or like a feeling rather than the specifics of the movie. But I think
Right.
this is going to go well into
Yeah.
how we shape the story.
Now,
So let's get into
before
that.
we do that, I want to preface that I do love anytime the 2003 show or anytime Turtles in general does a serious tone. Some of my favorite episodes, Shredder Strikes Back, one of my favorites of all time, is Same as It Never Was. So anyone who's watched Same as It Never Was from the 2003 show about Donnie going into a future where Michelangelo has suffered an injury, he doesn't have an arm, the brothers are no more, Splinter has passed away, Shredder has taken over New York, Leo and Raph don't talk, and then they go back to try to take him out one last time, and there's a death. It's one of my I love when things are taken seriously and stories can actually develop like that. So I just want to
Agreed.
preface we're kind of on the same page with the serious tones.
With that, let's jump right on in. Let's start writing this movie series.
Before we do you want live
Yeah.
action or animated?
Oh, that's such a
Because I'm going to tell you, mine is animated.
okay. I'm okay with that. Based on the kinds of movies that we've been getting that are animated, I'm all right.
There's so many possibilities with animated films.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about shaky cam, jump cuts, and you can design everybody the way you want them to look.
Yes.
Especially
Now,
the turtles. The turtles are a huge thing. So what do you want the turtles to even look like?
I want them to be a mix of 2003
Yeah.
and 2012.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't exactly know how, but I really liked the leanness of the 2012 show.
Right.
But I liked the kind of bulk of the 2003 show.
Right. And the
Because it was
athleticism they
like,
looked like they had. Yeah.
exactly. They actually looked like really strong warriors. So I think if you put that really like lean but muscular build on these turtles, I think that's going to really translate to, okay, they're experienced fighters. They've been around, they've been training their whole lives to do the job that they're kind of destined to do.
Now, I know the world wants the 1990 costumes back. So I'm going to give it to you in a way because I want the 2007 models because they give you the best of everything. They give you almost the look of the 90s movies, but it gives you the leanness and the athleticism of the 2003 show with a bit of like, okay, these guys can move quick. They look strong. They're lethal. But with the updated models, I want them to have more textures like the 90s films. So they're going to have the builds of the 2007 with a little bit of height differences, but how they look, the leanness, athleticism, that's what I want them to look with a little bit more edge and texture to their skin like the 90s films.
Now that you say that, I feel like in my head, the combination of 2003 and 2012 is that 2007
show.
with more texture. So it's
Yeah.
like, you just said it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I feel like the 2007 movie had such a great visual look to it, but we're going to bring it to 20, like times 20, because that was obviously 2007 and it looked like a real life movie then. We're going to give it, the 2024 special effects overworld. We're going to give it that dark but comic booky style.
Good. I was just going to ask, like, are we doing vibrant? Are we doing gritty? Are we doing something in between? We are basing it in New York, obviously.
I want something in between because the 2007 movie was dark and gritty, but it did have those vibrant moments. But I think we give it a little bit more with what renderers can do today.
I definitely want a scene in there where they're fighting around some neon and in the rain.
Yes. Kind of like, it's almost like the 2007 Raph and Leo fight on the rooftop with that sign in the background, but like more vibrant, like John Wick looking lights, like everything is more, has that Japanese influence. Now, to begin the movie, how do you see the opening of the first, do you even want a trilogy or do you just want to do one movie?
I'm okay, honestly, with doing a trilogy.
Okay.
What I think in my mind that has to happen, we need to know who the turtles are. We need to know that they've been doing their work for a little while. They're kind of used to the game. So maybe we start off with them
on a mission.
Yes, they're trying to intercept some Buddy breaking into a bank, or they're breaking
Right.
into a factory, and they have to use their skills of like stealth,
Right.
and then they ambush them and then take them all on.
Why don't we start it then with introducing the foot as well? That way we can get the overshadow villain of it, and then the turtles doing their thing.
Beautiful. Have maybe the foot, like a couple foot soldiers walking or kind of sneaking around. Maybe they're infiltrating some place. Do you have a place in particular that they're going to?
Now the question is, have they fought the Shredder before, or are they trying to stop Shredder from getting something? Like, does Shredder have an objective in this movie? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to see the Shredder fully until the very end of the movie. I want to see him in shadow. I want to just hear his voice,
Yeah.
and I just want his presence alone until the very end. And we'll talk about what I want to see at the end.
Okay. With that, then we'll take the perspective of 2 foot ninjas. They are sneaking into a place and they are trying to find something. The turtles are then stealthily creeping around them. They have a little fight. Maybe it's not even all 4 of them yet. Maybe we see 2 of them. Maybe it's Mikey and Raph. And with them, we kind of get that dynamic of Mikey's really goofy and wants to like mess with the foot,
Right.
and Raph's in there. He's just like, I just want to get in there and like knock him out.
Yeah.
Because we don't know them yet. Maybe this is a new threat to New York, and they're like, who are these clowns in these purple suits or whatever?
Right.
And
Well, now,
yeah,
are they in purple suits? Because honestly, my favorite foot ninjas are the 2003 and the 2007. The black suits with the red eyes, like even like the 90s. But I don't like. I don't
okay.
want the cartoon purple outfits. I want
Perfect.
full black ninja garb, headbands, the foot logo. Like, they look menacing. Like, they have some
Gotcha.
gray on there. That's what I want from my Foot Clan.
Then it's going to be black and gray with some headbands and
Yeah.
some goggles.
Yeah.
That I like.
I think we start this off with a classic rooftop run.
Okay. Yeah.
And like because that's how they train most of the time, right? They're out on your midnight, patrol. Almost like I want this to be a sequel to the 2007 film in a way, but kind of a soft reboot where I always love the idea of Leo going away and having to train because he's the most skillful and like of his brothers, and he comes back and his brother, like Raph's, there has to be some reason for him and Raph to fight.
Right.
There's always got to be headbutting. So there's like, Leo's gone away and now he's trying to reform the brothers as a team, so that's why they're not as one yet. So there's that.
Yes.
They've been away for, Leo's been away. Raph's been doing his own thing. Mikey and Dawn, like in 2007, were doing their own thing. So they're not together. So there's a reason for them training and going out and then coming across the Foot Clan. Donnie gets an alert. He's got alerts all over whatever tech he's got.
Cool.
And then they come across them, say, at a museum. They're always at a museum trying to find some artifact for Shredder. So they don't go into the museum. I feel like they should do it outside after the Foot have escaped, so they're not like, causing harm to whatever's on the inside. They take care of their business outside because they're mature turtles. They know how to handle themselves. They're not going to cause awareness. Right.
Yes.
So I feel like we should open up with a rooftop run, cut to the Foot Clan doing their thing. Maybe they even see them. They've already done whatever they're doing, and then they spot the Foot Clan. Like, we don't see what the Foot's doing until they spot them. It's like a mystery to even us. So then we get the Foot end up getting away after their whole sprawl because there's a bunch of them that show up. Usually they come in droves after one gets attacked, and then they end up going back to the lair. Say Casey's chilling there with April, and Splinter's there, and they give their nightly watch report or whatever.
Yeah, they give the report.
And they tell them, or they even do the whole thing where, in the first movie, they get a piece, like they get the symbol, like in the 2000s, they're like, what is this? And then Splinter tells them what it is. And then that's when we cut to, Orokusaki, the Shredder's palace, and then the Foot are there, and they have the artifact, right? But Shredder is like, you can see his silhouette. He's in there, and all the Foot soldiers are like kneeling before him, and one's presenting whatever. Say it's the Sword of Tengu or something, quotes for artifact, or like something to help make his new armor, or it's a tease to like the Utroms or something, something like that. And we get his tease. All we hear is his voice, right? Yeah. And he sends some, like, say, Hun or a Foot elite to grab whatever artifact that's the Foot has brought to him. Like, we don't see him. He's chilling in shadow. And that way he's a mystery most of the movie. I think that's a great way to open it with some action. You get the turtles trying to figure each other out again. You get the comedy of Mikey doing his own thing. Leo trying to be like, he's very precise and he's like in the background. And Raph just wants to beat people up. And Donnie's like, there's a whole, you get everybody's aspects in like one little fight scene and them trying to be a unit again.
You're right. I like that.
The Foot Clan are vulnerable. They're formidable. I want them to be good. Yeah. I don't want them to be a bunch of jokes. Yeah. Like, say in 2003 when they could beat them all the time, but then Karai took over training. And then they were like, okay, now they're a
Yeah.
problem. I want them to be a problem, you know?
Cool.
That way when they
Cool.
have the elite guard, the main four that guard Shredder, they're
Yep.
like, you know,
That's real
that's
tough.
tough. And then like maybe the whole thing is the turtles, they want to go, like Raph wants to fight and Leo's interested, but like he's trying to control his brother. So then like they get into trouble, you know,
Hmm.
halfway through the movie and Splinter
Yep.
has to, you know, intervene and like there's a whole thing.
Do you want to pull a twist kind of thing here where maybe Master Splinter doesn't tell them who is behind this and is just like, don't go
Yeah, we can
looking
do
for
that.
them?
Yeah.
And then, so kind of like a Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban kind of deal.
Yeah.
Don't go looking for Sirius Black. And then it's like, don't go looking for whoever this is. They maybe they're out another night training and they're like, why do you think he said that? And then they
Yeah.
decide they kind of want to. Maybe that builds some tension because Leo wants to listen to
Right.
Master Splinter and Raph's just like, no, I'm going to
Yeah.
go look. And that
There you
gets him
go.
into some shenanigans.
Yeah. And that also would help tie into a story point we can implement for the trilogy because I'm where I want to take it.
Yeah.
How Splinter doesn't reveal to them everything.
Yes.
And so by the end of this movie, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to lose.
Good.
And they're going to lose like badly.
Okay.
But they're going to lose because they're obviously going to disobey orders and go try to take them out because they're going to follow the Foot Clan to the headquarters and they're just going to get stomped.
Yes.
And I don't even think like the Shredder should even like I feel like he should come out at the end, but just like the foot soldiers have done their work, but the Shredder just comes out and says you know, delivers the final blows to all of them. Like and then Splinter I feel like has to figure out like where they are and has to come rescue them. So that's not the complete end of the film because the end of the film is obviously going to be like Splinter then tells them who they are, right? It stays on like them running away, hiding, and Splinter revealing to them who Orokisaki and the Shredder is, the history of the foot, and like really building the brothers back up. Like you can't face them until we're a team, like we're a family. And then that leads into the second movie where the Shredder is now we've a face, right? Where he's more of a shadow in this one.
Yes.
He's kind of like Spawn.
Okay, I like it. So man, we end this movie on a kind of a really low but hopeful note.
Yeah.
Where the turtles just get wrecked.
Yeah.
They've been sorely beaten, and Splinter comes and kind of rescues them, pulls them out of danger, and then sits them down and is like, we can't do this until we are a team.
Right.
And then I think that's cool because it's really like we've seen some action. We've seen some good fights at the beginning, in the middle with some foot, and then at the end they just get their plates handed to them.
Right.
So
I feel like there should be something else. Like this movie, I feel like it's going to be 90 minutes, a quick 90, because it's easy to develop the turtles that way. And there's an overarching threat as the foot.
Yep.
You get that one battle. There has to be, I feel like, one other battle in the middle before they go and say, listen, I feel like there's a battle in the middle and the foot kind of escape, but the turtles are like, no, like Raph wants to go and to finish it off. Right.
Yes.
And then Leo has to they're all like, hey, we can't leave him. We have to follow him. And they get trapped inside Shredder's lair. And that's when Shredder comes out with the elite guard.
Yes.
And just take it to them. I feel like they can go toe to toe ish with the elite guard, but they're not holding well. Then that's when Shredder comes out and just destroys them. And that's when Splinter comes in around like, say, the hour and 15-minute mark.
Yep.
Pulls them out, gives, him and Orokusaki have a look.
Yep.
I don't think he doesn't know like who Splinter is, like the rat, right? Until like say the second movie, but then he rescues him, does the whole ninja smoke thing, disappears, and then that way the Shredder knows these are now enemies. And then then in the last 15 minutes is Splinter giving them the speech. We get more of the history of the Foot Clan, building the team up, and getting them at the end really looking at themselves and saying we need to be brothers again.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Now this leads into a cool thing that we can incorporate into the second movie, which is like they have to lay low almost,
right?
Because Shredder is on high alert for these turtles, and he's looking for them now.
And that's when he sends Karai out. Like Karai will be in the first movie. We forgot to mention her, but this is when she'll send Karai out with her Foot Clans. Like they're going around trying to track them down. Like the Foot Elite will be with one. Karai is basically Shredder when Shredder's not around, right? Karai will be the one giving orders.
Yes.
In the second movie.
Sweet. So Do you think we're good to start now moving into the second movie?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
I
What?
also think April should be a techie because I feel like we should give April and Casey because the turtles they've been friends with them for a while, so I feel like they're now trained by Splinter as well. So they need to be some kind of an asset, like in 2007, where they have Casey's always going to be a
Yes.
vigilante. He's always going to be Raph's bro, but I feel
Yep.
like April also needs to have that ability to be able to have that family team go in, and the turtles can't do them by themselves. You know,
Right.
at the end of the first one, they need to be like on good terms. Like I feel like the ending is like, you know how Leo and Raph always have that like, you know, we're brothers again and let's, you know, you're gonna lead us.
Yes.
Raph's thing is that Leo, he doesn't want Leo to be the leader, he wants to be the leader. So
Yep.
they need to all have that like, we understand you're the leader and you're gonna lead us because we need our family. So that's gonna be the
Right.
end of the first. And so they're already gonna be family in the second movie, but now it's all about building that team and camaraderie, right? Building that how
Yes.
you fight as a team rather than as one.
Yep. What do you want the opening scene for the second movie to be?
We can't open it with the turtles because we did that in the
Right.
first movie. We have to
Yep.
open it with the Shredder because
Good.
he is now the Thanos of this universe. He's the big bad. This movie is about him,
Yeah.
right? Rather than the first movie is about the turtles learning who the enemy is. Now we open it with Shredder and him laying down the overarching theme of this movie.
Yes. And what is that theme?
Well, most of the time it's just take out anything that stands in his way.
Gotcha.
But I
Okay.
feel like unless we tell Splinter tells him who he is when he rescues the turtles, and that way opening up the second movie, he's chilling in his throne, right? And he's like, how is Hamato Yoshi alive? Right? And he's
Right.
dealing with the fact that his enemy is alive and he will crush his family and he,
Yeah.
you know, what he did to him. Because we already have the kind of history from Splinter telling the turtles at the end of the first movie. Now we bring it into the Shredder's perspective.
Right. Yeah. So we almost don't need a story arc where Shredder's on a mission to figure out who
No, because
this mystery
that's a
rat
waste
is.
of time.
It is. I agree. Have him know at the end
Because
of the
Splinter knows
first
who
one.
he is,
Yeah.
and then he'll lay down that he's Hamato Yoshi, and then just like the first movie, he's like, "Oh, do what I did," you know, when he's like, "Oh, began with you," oh yeah, and you know, he then
Yeah.
runs at him, whatever. So I feel like that's the interaction that's left between Splinter and Hamato Yoshi or Splinter and Orokusaki before he smokes out of
Yeah.
there. And so we
Yeah.
open up with Shredder confessing to say Karai, or like I think it should even be like a monologue by himself, like if him like you know like the villains always sit there with like oh
Yes.
he's putting
With
on
their
his blade
cologne.
or something, you know, and his helmet's off or whatever. Yeah, something like that with like an overarching shadow of like you get like some beam of light through his, you know, some really ominous looking beautiful lighting, but like scary.
Yes.
And
Cool.
then Karai comes in to be like, here's the report, and then he gives her the mission of we're gonna track them down
Mhm.
and you know finish this. I feel like where do you want the final fight to be?
Like as a location.
Yeah, because I feel
Oh,
like we had the first fight in Shredder's palace. I feel like we need to move it.
it
Like
does have
he
to be
needs to
moved.
find them, like to track them down.
I feel like the sewers are a little too confined
Yeah,
to have unless you do like a
like a
gladiator pit
yeah,
style.
or
Like,
unless you do like a moving, like it starts there, right? And they need to vacate, like they need to call a retreat to get
right.
higher ground, right? To get more open air. So like the middle of the movie could be breaking into the lair, and then like them having to run somewhere like hide, say in April's apartment or something. Like they need to
Okay.
escape because the Shredder now knows where they live. You know,
Yeah. So what if first fight is in the lair?
Shredder's there. He's coming.
Yeah. So
Right?
it's
They
like,
order the foot to follow the turtles wherever, even though Splinter, like, they're around, but they have eyes and ears everywhere as the Foot Clan because they have the purple
yeah,
dragons. You know, they have the mob. They're like in charge of everything, you
right.
know, and then Karai and the Foot Elite are like everywhere.
This fight with Shredder in the sewers, claustrophobic and real scary.
Yeah.
It has to
Yeah.
be. Like he is essentially turned their home into an unsafe place.
Yeah.
They have lost that safety that they're so used to, and he destroys it, and it's dark. We see like shots of light
Yeah.
coming through like grates in the sewers, and they're just like trying to get out of there. I do imagine there being a fight scene on a subway for some reason.
That would be kind of cool. Or
Like
in a subway, like transitioning, like there's trains passing and they're like just fighting.
exactly. Like they're on, maybe they like hook on to one of the the subway cars. It goes through and then it ends up at like an abandoned terminal, and then
Right.
they're fighting
Yeah.
in there for a little bit, and then they like get out, and then they go to April's place and they hide out for a bit.
Yeah.
Final scene.
Do you think?
Or,
I think Splinter and Shredder have to fight for the first fight in this movie. Like
oh,
Splinter has to protect the turtles from the Shredder.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that has we
definitely.
have to see the one-on-one right away in that
Yes.
first fight. It's not going to be like immediate. Like it's going to be maybe 30 minutes into the film because we're going to have
Yes.
opening of the Shredder. We're going to cut back to the turtles to see what they're doing. You know, they're still training. They're learning more, and then we're cutting back to now the Shredder. Maybe he has eyes and ears, and like Casey slips up, and that's how they find out where the lair is or something.
Right. Oh, I like that. Yeah, and then we're in the sewer. The only one that's able to keep composure is Splinter, and
Yeah.
Shredder and him have a face off.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. And then like the artifacts say he's finding armor from the first movie. Like remember he was looking for an artifact from the Utroms or
Yeah.
whatever. His armor gets damaged in the fight with Splinter. That he now that he has the artifact, he like upgrades his armor a little bit more for the final fight of this film, right? He looks more he looks like the IDW versions originally,
Yes.
but then he adds more armor to kind of have a mix of 2003 and IDW.
Yes, definitely. So I am kind of struggling with final location for, or sorry, the location of their final
Right.
battle for this movie, because I want you to help me out with that, because I know you have
I think
somewhere to go with the story.
I think it should be at Foot Tower. I think now that the Shredder ran them out of their own home, he doesn't expect them to be like, okay, we regroup and we take it to him. Because I'm going to tell
Right.
you the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Splinter is going to finish the Shredder and he's going to take over the Foot Clan because he's going to be the villain of the third movie.
Oh.
Because
like
everything Splinter taught them about the Foot Clan in the first and second movie, he is now going to be running it, and the Turtles aren't going to agree with what the Foot stands for. So it's going to be like the IDW, where the Turtles have to like they disperse from Splinter, and they have to try to gain their father back by, telling him to leave the Foot behind, and like this whole thing. So the Shredder is going to lose at the end of this film. But like what we built over the last two movies, the first and second one, he's going to be the most badass Shredder anyone's ever seen. Cool. And even though he's going to lose, it's going to be a gruesome final fight between. It's not going to be like Shredder versus Splinter. It's going to be everybody versus the Shredder. Like that's how good he is. Like Ben Affleck's Batman in the warehouse scene. Like he's just going to be. It's going to be unfair.
Yeah.
But then eventually the Shredder's going to fall, and Splinter's going to be now running the Foot Clan to try to make it better. But he's going to fall into the power. He's going to lose himself to power, and the Turtles going to in the third movie have to reclaim their father. That's the whole arc of these three movies.
I like that a lot.
And then even with the third movie ending, like there's going to be so many Easter eggs between, say, the second and third movie, where the Foot Clan's going to end with Splinter, coming back home to family, right? And the Foot Clan's going to be dispersed. But like, say, Krang and the Utroms have been lurking around these three movies with like the artifact and like other things that Shredder's been researching, and like certain Easter eggs are going to be popping here and there. And like, say, an end credit scene for the third movie is like the Krang are coming or whatever.
Right.
Like mutants are a thing now. Like the ooze there's more ooze,
Right. How do you want to, before we really dive into the third movie, how do you want the second one to end in a detailed way? Because we did really put together that ending of the last movie or the first movie.
So I'm going to tell you how I want it to end. There is going to be a gauntlet match.
Cool.
And Splinter Shredder knows what this is. It's in the comic book, IDW Comics. You have to read it. The first 50 issues are unreal, and it ends with the Turtles going head to head with like their 5 versus Shredder's 5. So Shredder has mutants at this point. He has like a bunch of mutants. So each one of the Turtles like takes on one, and if one loses, the other one fights. So say Mikey fights a Foot Elite. If Mikey wins, the other one comes in, and then it goes back and forth until one's done.
It's like a Pokemon fight.
Yeah, it's like a Pokemon fight.
Got it.
But then the last one, obviously Shredder, he obviously thinks he can beat anybody. So he wants the 4 Turtles and Splinter to face him. But it's like the Gauntlet's basically in the comics, it's like a battle to the death, basically. Right. But we're not going to do a battle to the death. It's just like you're defeated, on to the next one, where then it'll go to, Shredder fighting for not honor. He wants to fight because he's full of rage and he's cocky and and so the 4, this is when we finally get the family fighting together. And then it's going to end with Shredder on his knees. and then Splinter with his sword, and then Shredder's just gonna say, "Finish me," and Splinter's gonna kill him.
Whoa.
And then at this point, he's gonna look to the foot, and without even like telling the turtles, like this isn't even a decision that they made together. He's now saying like, "I will be the leader of the Foot Clan now." It's like he's
Right.
killed his. There's like a mental thing going on with Splinter. He's killed his arch enemy, right?
Yeah.
And now his sons aren't even a thing. Like he's fully, engulfed in like he's now one, and now he's
He's
taking
like
over the
assuming
foot,
the role. Yeah.
assuming the role, and now the turtles in the third movie aren't agreeing with what's happening.
Yeah.
Like they're part of the Foot Clan, but it's like in the comic where Mikey doesn't love what's happening to his father and his brothers, and he leaves first. Mikey actually leaves the group first, and then the rest of them will have them follow and disperse
Cool.
some Splinter and say like, listen, you're not
This
not our
isn't-
father anymore.
Right. Now, do you want it to have any sort of happy ending at the end of the second movie?
Well, the second movie's kind of happy because we haven't discovered that Splinter's the foot's over, right?
Yeah.
And now he is the ending is like a good feeling because the foot are no longer evil, and like Splinter's now in charge, and they're making the foot, they're like their Hamato clan. They're turning the foot into the Hamato clan.
Cool.
And they're ending it on like now the city will no longer have crime. Like they're completing
Beautiful.
it. And then going into the third movie is when we start to realize that Splinter's
actually
making
not-
bad decisions.
Yeah,
right?
it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
There's still like the remnants of the Foot Clan tendencies in the Hamato clan now.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Like it
I
bleeds
like it.
in. Yeah.
Yes.
So it
Yeah,
ends
'cause-
on a high, but then
Yeah.
we start to discover Splinter is now falling to the foot side, like
right.
to the power.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And that's where say Karai is like she'll be the in between, right? Say because there was Janeka in the comic books where she was Splinter's right hand foot, and then she
Okay.
turned into a turtle. Leo had to give her a blood transfusion, and she
Oh.
turned into the turtle with the yellow headband. She's one of the new
Yes.
ones. She's a great character, but I feel like we're not there yet. So
Yeah.
Karai will be that person where now that's where her and Leo's relationship will be built.
Right.
And the turtles will leave, but she'll be the intermediate. Like she believes in honor, unlike her father.
Yes.
That's her whole thing. So now
Yeah.
Splinter's being the dishonorable one, and she's going back and forth, and it's like I can't. He killed my father, so like now I'm honor bound to him. But there's this whole back and forth with her
Yeah,
struggling.
so
So she's going to be a strong character in the third one as well, and like her trying to
Awesome.
be with the turtles or with Splinter. So I feel like there's a lot of room for character building in those second two last movies.
Question. Now that you've kind of brought up Karai as like a very prominent character, can we have a fight between the other humans like Casey and April and Karai?
Yeah.
Like because they're like they don't trust her.
Yes.
Yeah, she's honor bound. It's very much about honor, but they don't know who she's honorable actually towards.
Yeah.
If we can ground the humans and like have them interact, I think it'll just elevate that story that they have.
Right. Because we can start building that in the second movie with like
Right.
her tracking April and Casey down, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, and then really having that kind of back and forth there. There's some dialogue spoken between them, and then that way in the third movie, they still don't know who she's on because she did serve the Shredder, but now what are her true intentions?
Exactly. Sweet. Now we're on the third movie. Where do we go?
We have to open up with some positive signs of the new Foot Clan, right?
Yes.
We have to slowly. I feel like Splinter's turn doesn't, it happens early on because we have to see the turtles shift. It's like that's not our father.
Yes.
He has to make a decision that's not right, and then in the middle of the movie, the turtles have to leave. Like
Yes.
they separate from him, and that's the third act is when they go to face him again, and
What
where
do you
they
think
either challenge him, like we will no longer be your family. If we win, you will disband the foot, and if we lose, you'll never see us again, and you can go on your way. So it's like it's kind of a double negative for Splinter in a way because if he loses the foot, but if he wins, he loses his sons.
Right.
So
right.
there's a win-win for the turtles and a lose-lose for Splinter.
I like it.
Until he realizes after he's fighting his family, right? There's not going to be a winner of the family because the four
Right.
turtles are going to fight him. But then he realizes, like, what am I doing? Like, he's going to have a
Yes.
clearer mind at that point after seeing his sons. He's beating on his own sons, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a whole thing in the third act of him coming back and realizing what he's done. And them coming a family again. It's like the moment at the end of the 90s movie where they're all hugging on the rooftop. It's that's going to be the final act of them. Like there's going to be some secret stuff in Shredder's because Splinter took over Foot Tower, right? There's going to be some secret stuff that's Shredder's been with the ooze and like the Krangs and the mutants. He's been making mutants, maybe. Let's do
Yes.
that. He's been making mutants. He's
Then
been making clones of himself.
ooh,
You know,
okay.
there's some differences there. Like you can have the ooze be a thing and like the Krang. That way you can do whatever you want with the next three, or even if they just start making TV shows, right? Now with everything going on, you can do whatever.
What do you think is going to be the turning point that the turtles see that, oh, Splinter is too far gone and they have to leave? What do you want that moment to be?
Well, I feel like it should happen in the second movie when they see him kill the Shredder.
Ooh, okay.
And then they see in this one, it's going to be a decision like, just waste whoever, like finish them off. It's going to be a line like that where like, no, finish the mission. Like, and the turtles are like, what are you talking about? We're not killers.
He sends them on a mission.
Yeah.
They're in communication and
he sends them on a mission with the Foot Clan.
Right.
That's going to be cool to see them side by side.
They have to work together.
Yeah.
But then they realize that the mission entails like finishing off the target.
Yeah. And the Foot Clan have no problem with that because the Shredder has made them do that forever. But the turtles are like, what are we becoming right now? We're becoming what we tried to defeat. So that's when they turn on him. It's gonna be a great 3 movies. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I really like that. Yeah, that's a good way to introduce that change of heart that they see.
And then like the ending fight, like Splinter is now facing what he created, right? The brothers, the turtles, are now a force. They've learned to fight as one again. And it's back and forth, and like the turtles don't want to hurt their father, but they have no choice. But then that's when Splinter finally switches after beating on his sons, like fighting his sons. That like, what's happening?
Do you think they're gonna like hold their punches and like fight in like a defensive style?
I feel like yes, that would be sweet. But I feel like it should be at first like they're toe to toe, like they're all toe to toe, and then at certain points they realize they're winning, so then they're gonna turn, like. They're going to be talking the whole time. It's like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to have to fight you.
Yep.
The whole like back and forth of like the turmoil they're feeling, but Splinter hasn't connected to that yet because he's on the path of, evil.
Sick.
Yeah. And the fight scenes, man, they're going to be A1. We're going to hire full stunt teams, like the best of the best to choreograph this. And like the mocap artists, like obviously we'll do mocap to have reference for the fighting. So we're going to get the best martial artists for the turtles and Splinter and Shredder, but like obviously we're not gonna use the mocap as like a grounding point for the animation.
No,
it's just gonna be for reference. Them. Because when animators get to just animate without having the locking of the mocap, it looks so much better. Did you watch the new Puss in Boots movie?
Not yet.
Oh my god, dude! The way the wolf acts is how I want Shredder to act. In a way, like you have to watch it. He's ominous, but he's quick and scary. And like his movements are like he's like death, right? He's the Grim Reaper basically, and he's coming for you. And he moves so fast, and he's like within a blink of an eye you could be dead. And like how they filmed all the action, like everything. There's some long lens shots and there's wide shots, and everything is colorful. Like I want stand downs, like it's like Shredder's here, and like the 4 turtles are here, and like you can see them all go, and then they attack, and there's like a hole. This is one shots and everything. Like
I need one shot of all of their eyes flash across.
Yeah,
and they all have like the white in their eyes with the bandanas.
I want Okay, so another thing is I want comic book style crop scenes, like how overlays and like you're turning a page and you have like different, like even in the cartoons where they have like Shredder there and then like it cuts across and the turtles are on top or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I want white eyes. Yeah,
it's animated. It doesn't matter. It's possible.
We can do whatever we want. But yeah, that's what I want my trilogy to be, and we're putting aspects of what you want. So I feel like this is a great combination of what we both want.
I agree.
With hints to the possible futures of like, we could do more movies if we wanted to, because the Turtle universe is endless. Like the second you finish Shredders, there's a whole other spectrum you can go to. So but I want to start it off grounded, and that way, if you go into the next 3 movies, like the Turtles and Splinter, they're going to be like a family, like an actual family. Like going through all of this, the turtles are going to be one, but now they have their father back after the 3rd one, and like nothing is going to stop them going forward. Here's the thing: what if in the 3rd movie we go back to like all red headbands because they're not part of Splinter's clan anymore? They don't want to wear the colors he gave them. They want to go back to their original red. I think that would be
Yes.
cool. Then at the end of the movie, we have them put their colored headbands back on to end the film. How cool
That'd be
would
so
that
good.
be?
That'd be so
Oh,
sick. Okay, so
and
I don't
they
really.
go off on a mission that cuts the credits, like they're
That'd be
getting
so
ready to go
good.
out. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's another thing I just thought of that would be great to add for the third
yeah, and
movie
then put their colors back on
back
at
on
the
at the
end.
end to
Yep, that'd be
signify,
sweet.
and then end it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, oh,
Right on.
we end it with them going on a rooftop and doing like we are the
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We strike hard
Yes.
and fade away. You know, that whole speech, and then it does the
Exactly.
pose of the comic book, and they're all wearing their colors again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nice.
I would love to
That's
see this
exciting.
movie.
These movie. Oh,
No
absolutely.
one's gonna ever make it, but we should make it.
If we open up a
Listen, I'm a one man film
animating
crew.
studios,
Yeah, so if I have help, maybe I can make this happen with stop motion.
there we go.
But we'll see what happens. We'll write some
Yeah.
scripts,
Yes.
and if you guys want to see this movie, write it in the comments. We want to know what you guys are
Yeah.
thinking. If you like our
Yeah.
ideas, or tell us your ideas of what you want to see in a film. I know most of you want to just see a 1990 reboot
Exactly.
with the same
Exactly.
suits, but this is our idea. This is what we want to see, our combination of our thoughts. So if you
Yeah.
guys enjoyed, please comment below. Thanks for listening.
This has been 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Nick.
I'm Brian, and we'll catch you guys later.